Hello. Happy Wednesday. I don't even know what's happening. I'm traveling. We are called to order for a special meeting of the Law Nerds live from my iPad in Las Vegas. What is what is happening? I got on a plane yesterday and all of the shit hit the fan. I was like, "No, I have my Nintendo Switch. I have my fancy first class seat." I was so ready to just like grab a glass of champagne, play Nintendo Switch while like maxing, relaxing in my seat. But no, James Spears woke up and chose violence, and I am not here for it at all. I have all of the feelings, and I have the thoughts, and we're going to break down just one document today for this very special bonus ride of the Law Nerds. Um, from mobile. So a huge thank you to the mods for being down and willing to make this happen. A huge thank you to the hotel I am at, the MGM properties for having Wi-Fi that allows me to do this for who knows how long today. We're gonna give it our best and we're gonna see. And yeah, we're gonna do the things. We're gonna do the things. Whoa, you guys, this motion. It is filed at 112 pages, but that's because they attached two of the transcripts that have been attached before. If you are in the Law Nerd community on Patreon, you got my I Have Thoughts private members only podcast last night. I recorded that from the hotel. Had some quirks trying to get it uploaded, but then it got up, and so y'all have that. That was kind of my first look. So we should just get started. Like, called to order. I don't have a gavel while I'm traveling. I have lip gloss. I mean, it's facts and vitamin water. We're just going with it. Let me know where you're coming in from, what you're drinking. I appreciate all of you for being here. We're gonna make this work and we're gonna do it. Let's just roll, right? Let's see if we can roll the intro. I'm hoping so. I hope. Let fingers crossed.
Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the cursey words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery.
I mean, not sponsored, but same. Hello. It's so good to see you. Okay, I think I forgot to share this out on Twitter, so if somebody would do that, that would be awesome. Thanks. I totally forgot. I could like sit on my phone and try to do it, but I'm not going to because we need to get into this petition. Our like show producer at this point, Tech Valor, who you also know is one of the mods, is going to be helping me today because I can't share documents from my screen. So in a minute, she's going to pull that up. I'm just going to do a brief row so far before we get into it. And then we're going to just do it that way because you know what? We're law nerds. We're professionals here and we make it happen. Though I'm never traveling again without a microphone. I brought a light. I remembered a light, but I didn't bring an iPad stand. So next time I will probably try to bring an iPad stand so I can put this up a little higher because what we don't need is this angle. I guess I can sit back here. We can sit back here. We're going to just go crisscross applesauce and make it all work. And I will try to pull up as many comments as I can because I still can. So we're just going to like wiggle around. No, observe, I'm not uncomfortable. I'm just an ADHD girl in Vegas who has a lot to do today. So we're just wiggling. We're going with it. All right, let's do a brief road so far, shall we? That works smoothly remotely, sure. What had happened was the Britney Spears conservatorship. The wheels are coming off. I think what we're seeing is like the death blows of this conservatorship. In the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, the movie, not the TV show, the movie from the 90s, there is a scene where Pee Wee Herman was playing a vampire and he was dying slowly forever, and he was like and as I'm watching James Spears and his legal team flail about, that's all I can think of is like the we're not look, When everyone says you're dead, just lay down, in the words of Heather Dubrow. So James Spears, let's back up. Since June 23rd, when Britney spoke to the court, there has been a flurry of legal activity. James Spears filed an objection to Matthew Rosengart's motion to remove him or suspend him as the conservator of the estate. Remember, James Spears is not the conservator of the person. The temporary conservator of the person is Jody Montgomery. So James Spears objected to that and said shit like, well, Brittany's not well. I should be thanked. I'll step down when the time is right. I'm amenable to a transition, but after the 12th accounting gets paid, to jog your memory, the 12th accounting is the one that has all of the legal fees, like over $1 million in legal fees. So once that all gets sorted, then I'm amenable to stepping down. The thing is, Matthew Rosengart responded to that, and we did that last week. Podcast episode coming out on that for the audio only Friday. We did that last week, and Rosengart was like, oh, hell no. Hell no. This is extortion, which is what he called it and alleged it to be in his response to James Spears's first response to the motion to yeet James Spears out of this conservatorship. So Rosengart said over and over that the legally appropriate and graceful thing to do would be to resign from this conservatorship. And what Dad Spears said was, I'm going to have the last word. You're not the boss of me. I do what I want. I do what I want. And I'm not going to resign, motherfuckers. What I'm going to do is file a petition to terminate the conservatorship and make you fight me on it. And I think that this is a strategic PR move. I think that Dad Spears has done this to force Rosengart to object to it so that the investigation into Spears can continue, or they will allow Britney to hire, and there's stuff in this motion that leads me in this direction. They might allow Britney to hire her own business managers and financial professionals to manage her estate outside of the conservatorship, and then allow the conservatorship of the person to stay. That would keep jurisdiction in the court. Whether Rosengart wants to sue in a separate court, maybe he does, and he's like, fine, end it. We'll go sue you somewhere else. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what his play will be, but I'm sure we'll see it. I mean, today's September 8th. We got a lot of time between now and the 29th for shit to go wild. And I think this entire month is going to be an emotionally exhausting roller coaster of what the fuck Dad Spears is up to now, and the kind of manipulation of it all. Because though this petition says it's a petition to terminate, the conditions at the very end of the petition are quite interesting. So I'm going to have Tech go ahead and pull that up on the screen, and we're going to get into it. I also have it on my phone because I don't know if I'll be able to read it when I go ahead and put it up on the screen. So I'm going to have you scroll to the first page. This is the intro page. There's no date and time on it, which is interesting because they don't know if the judge is going to hear this on the 29th or hear this at another time. And this gets into the beginning of the conservatorship. Most interestingly, they talk about the voluntariness again of the conservatorship, that she entered it in 2008. And he says, like, flames her attorneys in what, the second sentence, the third sentence on line 4. To this day, her attorneys have never filed a petition to terminate the conservatorship. The conservatorship has helped Ms. Spears get through a major life crisis, rehabilitate and advance her career, and put her finances and affairs in orders. But recently things have changed. The self-congratulatory bullshit that is this sentence, it's just like,
my apologies. I couldn't hear what you said.
No, you should apologize for James Spears' bullshit, Siri. But it's just this whole like, look at what we've done. Look at what we've done. Look at what we've done. Just. I'm not here for any of it. He goes on to say, Miss Spears is now outspoken in her frustration with the level of control imposed by the conservatorship. Now she's outspoken? Because she's been trying to yeet you for like 2 years. Sam Ingham filed a motion to yeet James Spears and to appoint Bessemer Trust, and the judge said, we'll let you be co-conservators. And you know what James Spears did? Did he go, oh, okay, we'll be co-conservators? No, he filed motion after motion after motion to fight it, to say we shouldn't be co-conservators and Bessemer shouldn't have access to the books and they shouldn't have access to the money. And the court overruled them, and then Bessemer bounced, which also, you know how I feel about it. All right, continuing on with this motion. They go on to say in the recent months, we are aware what happened in recent months. Ms. Spears has told this court she wants control of her life back without the safety rails of a conservatorship. He's making it sound like she's playing, bumper bowling or some shit. What is that even? What is that even? Safety rails. Okay, James, sure. So we're going to just scroll up a little bit more into that second paragraph. Thank you. They go on to say, that's perfect. She wants control of the money she has made from her career to spend it without supervision or oversight. I feel like this is a dig at Britney. Like, she just wants to. And I don't think that's it. I don't think Britney just wants to blow her money. I think Britney doesn't want her daddy controlling if she can go to, Hawaii or not, or using her money as a way to manipulate her, or using her money as a way to have control over her, which was the biggest theme in what she said to the court. Is she feels like it's tit for tat. And she said, he loves having control over someone as powerful as me. That was how she felt. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with that dynamic, right? Familiar with the dynamic of money being used to control and manipulate what people do. It goes on to say, as Mr. Spears has said again and again, all he wants is what's best for his daughter. You know what? Matthew Rosengart told you, and Jody Montgomery told you, and Lynn Spears told you what they thought was best for Britney. And you know what they thought was best? They thought the legally correct and graceful thing to do would be for you to resign. You know what you didn't do? Resign. What you did is you tried to end route it to power play this whole thing like a freaking chess game. And by all accounts, and Matthew Rosengart's own statement, then you leaked this to the media before you served it on opposing counsel. Why is that? Why is that? I mean, I'm glad, because then I got it too and didn't have to wait for this morning. But still, the gamesmanship of it all. Notice that these things don't happen when Rosengart files a motion. Rosengart files a motion and we all go, oh shit, a motion got filed. Let's pull it up and see what it says. That's not what happened. That's not what happened here. This motion was everywhere. It didn't come up onto the court's website until this morning. So Mr. Spears says again and again, all he wants is what's best for his daughter, but he refuses to resign or step down. Ms. Spears has testified that she did not know, at least in the past, that she could petition to end the conservatorship without submitting to a full psychological evaluation. And given her testimony, Mr. Spears does not know why a petition to terminate has not yet been filed. Well, guess what, James? It's not up to you to decide, because by your last motion, in his last motion, he said that he's estranged from Britney and has not had communications with her. So how do you know what she and her legal team are working on? That's for her and her lawyer to decide. You don't get to decide what's best. You're not in control. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the issue here. Continuing on, it says, Mr. Spears, however, has heard his daughter. Okay. And she now is pleading for the court to end the conservatorship. Then why did you object like 2 weeks ago to the motion for you to leave as conservator? She pleaded with the court in June. She pleaded with the court in 2019. She pleaded with the court to remove you when she filed the motion with Sam Ingham to get rid of you. And you fought tooth and nail. We're going to go ahead and scroll up. It says that Mr. Spears believes that the court should listen to Britney. He believes that now. Gee, I wonder why. They go on to say that Ms. Spears has pleaded with the court to end her conservatorship, and they quote what she said on June 23rd and July 14th, saying, "I just want my life back, and it's been 13 years, and it's enough. It's been a long time since I've owned my money, and it's my wish and my dream for all of this to end without being tested." They also quote her as saying, "The main reason why I'm here is because I want to end the conservatorship without having to be evaluated." And we can go up. They also quote for her plea for a normal life. "I'd like for my boyfriend to be able to drive me in his car, and I want to meet with the therapist once a week, not twice a week, and I want him to come to my home." And she, that was from June 23rd. That audio was leaked, so you all heard it. She wants to have a life. She wants the real deal. She wants to have a child and a family, and she wants her dad to not be in control of her. On July 14th, Spears addressed the court again and made a plea to end her conservatorship. And they quote her as saying, "I also again want to petition the court to end the conservatorship, but only if I don't have to be evaluated." And then once she got her attorney Rosengart on board, they have been focused on removing James Spears because I think that's Britney's deepest desire. She wants him out of her life. So I think this is again setting up the position where Rosengart now has to object to what James is doing. I don't think this is in the best interest of Britney. From his perspective, I think that this is a chess move. And I think that's why he's doing it. I don't think he's genuinely concerned. If he was genuinely concerned, it would look like him resigning. It would not look like this motion. This is a power play. Do not get it twisted. They go and quote the probate code with the powers that the judge has to terminate. We all know that the judge under the probate code can terminate a conservatorship. They can, and they quote the section saying that the judge can do that without an evaluation. So we can go up a bit. The court should evaluate whether this conservatorship is required given recent events and changed circumstances. It's so interesting that he thinks he knows. But okay, go off, Dad Spears. First, as noted above, Ms. Spears has made it very clear to this court that she wants the conservatorship to be terminated. She has made clear that she does not want to have to go through another psychological evaluation. Who put her through the last one? Dad Spears. She also made it clear that, and they go on to say, as discussed above, the probate code does not require a psychological evaluation as a precondition to terminate. They then say, after listening to Ms. Spears' recent testimony, because all of a sudden now we're listening, the court authorized Ms. Spears to select and retain counsel of her choosing rather than appointing counsel for her. And they use this to try to leverage their petition by saying, see, she got an attorney. So clearly she's a big girl now. It's so demeaning, I think. Maybe I'm reading into it because I'm annoyed by Dad Spears. It's totally possible. I'm annoyed at this point. This kind of gamesmanship is putting Britney in the middle of a chess game when all she wants is him to be gone. And he could have done that, but not this way. They go on and say, in doing so, in appointing Britney or allowing Britney to hire her own counsel, in doing so, this court has recognized that Ms. Spears has both the capacity and capability to identify, engage, and instruct counsel of her own choice on her own without the insistence of a conservator of the court. They continue to say if Ms. Spears has the capacity and capability to engage counsel on her own, she presumably has the capacity and capability to handle other business matters, as goes on to say, we can just go up a little bit, to handle other contractual and business matters. This setting up that, potential to remove the conservatorship of the estate and allow her to hire a business manager who would also manage her finances, which for someone with a business as large and complex as hers is not uncommon that they have someone else running their businesses and paying their day-to-day bills to make sure that A, nothing falls through the cracks, and B, it's being done properly so you don't end up, in a Girardi situation. It's like, look, there's a lot of moving pieces. Just give me the money that goes to me personally and pay my bills. Let me take vacation when I want to and just manage all the other stuff. That's not uncommon. They go on to say that in addition to being able to choose and instruct her own attorney, Spears should be given the opportunity to hire her own business manager, financial advisor, and security to protect both her and her person, which is like, why is security thrown in there? it just, okay, yes, we know she has security, but it's interesting that that's popped in there. They go on to say, third, Ms. Spears has recently demonstrated a level of independence that calls into question whether a conservator of the person is required. It appears they don't know because Dad Spears doesn't have contact with her. It appears, they say, from public media reports that Ms. Spears has been driving in the community on her own. Accordingly, either the current temporary conservator of the person, Jody Montgomery, has given Ms. Spears permission to drive on her own, or Ms. Spears has taken that right on her own. It's an awkward sentence for me, but they're saying, well, either Britney is like, fuck it, I'm doing what I want, or Jody has been like, yes, you can drive. But either way, the permission aspect of it alludes to something that James's team had been denying, and that's that she did not have permission to do some of these things on her own. But we know that she did. Even if it wasn't in the court documents, we know that they did. So let's just continue up. Thank you. They say that in paragraph 14, given Ms. Spears's impassioned pleas to this court and the clearly changed circumstances referenced above, which again are minimal circumstances. I think they put minimal circumstances in there to not give a ton to the court. They didn't add anything under seal. They didn't talk about her medical team. They didn't talk about substantial change circumstances. It was just little nuggets, enough that the court really might not grant it, but enough that they can look like they might grant it. So it is not a full, like, here's every circumstance that has changed, but also I don't want to see Dad Spears go into her mental health again, but he was just questioning her mental health 2 weeks ago in his last motion. So what caused the about face, and is it the investigation being done by Matthew Rosengart is my question. So to finish out that paragraph, it says, given the clearly changed circumstances, it is in Ms. Spears's best interest that the court consider whether this conservatorship is still required or whether the grounds for establishment of this conservatorship of the person and estate no longer exist. Your Honor, question, maybe you should consider it. You know what he could have done? What he could have done is said, I resign as the conservator of the estate, making all those other motions that are on the calendar for the 29 moot, and then dealing with the 12th accounting. So as we go up, they put the notice in there, and then they put the prayer for relief down below the notice, which is backwards. And it's very interesting to me that they put the notice first and then buried this under the notice. So they say they request an order from the court as follows, but they didn't put in a form order. So again, interesting. Finding that all notices required by law have been properly given. We noticed Britney's attorney before we noticed TMZ. Promise. Determining that the conservatorship of the person of Britney Jean Spears is no longer required, or that the grounds for establishment of a conservatorship of the person no longer exist. Okay. Terminating the conservatorship of the person of Britney Jean Spears. Okay. Discharging Jody Montgomery as temporary conservator of the person upon settlement and approval of the final report or account by the court. They haven't even started the final report. They haven't even started it yet. They're in the middle of trying to still settle the 12th accounting. They have not started the 13th accounting yet. So a final accounting could take quite a bit of time. They say determining that the conservatorship of the estate of Britney Jean Spears is no longer required, or that grounds for the establishment of the conservatorship of the estate no longer exist, terminating the conservatorship of the estate, discharging James Spears as conservator of the estate upon settlement and approval of a final report and account by the court. That could take ages. So it's very interesting to me that this is, and it might be the proper procedure, but he could have acquiesced to her last motion and allowed these accountings to go forward instead of saying, we'll terminate it when all of the final accounts are done. They've been fighting over the 12th accounting for a year. They haven't finished the 13th accounting yet, and then they have to do a final accounting. Who's in charge of those accountings? Well, if James Spears stays as a conservator of the estate, He's in charge of those accountings. So how many more motions are they going to fight over the rest of the 12th accounting, the 13th accounting, and then whatever final accounting there is? Wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't it be better if we all just did 3? Sorry. It's a center stage reference if you want to know what kind of movies I enjoy. I also like Bring It On. Burr, it's cold in here. There must be some James Spears in the atmosphere. But in this, how much time and how many additional motions are going to be filed to make sure that that gets done? And I don't like that James Spears is the one in charge of those accountings. If he was removed, then someone else would be doing those accountings. Wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't that be better? Oh, James Spears, what are you doing? Okay, I am going to try to make sure that I have sent this out, because I'm seeing in the chat, y'all are like, what? And then we'll do questions, because I have questions and you have questions. There isn't much more on this. USA, so I can get rid of this. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Hold on. I wanted to do that. It's hard doing it this way, just in case I need to bring it back up. USA Today also filed another motion. After now I'm hearing me. That's not what I want. Oh, shush. Shush. I'm still trying to shush myself. It's so hard. USA Today filed another motion that I was trying to bring up just to look at real quick. They're asking the court to rule on the motion that we covered, saying, look, we need remote access to the 29th. We want remote access to the 29th. Please give us remote access to the 29th and make a ruling before. And so that's what they are trying to do. We'll see if it gets done or not. I am not confident at all. I'm not confident at all that the judge will rule, or that the judge will just issue a blanket denial. They're trying to force the court into a ruling to allow them access. I don't know if the judge is going to do that. I really, really don't. But we'll see if she does. I'm not so sure. Let's get to questions. I have questions. You have questions. We have questions. We swooped. I can't hear them on my end. Hopefully you can hear them. All right, let's get to questions. I know I missed some super chats. I'm gonna do my best to pull them up, but I'm on my iPad. So if the mod caught them, will you just send them to tech, because I do not have infinite scroll on the iPad, which I have on the desktop, so I cannot go back and pull them up. Thank you for everyone who super chatted and supported the stream. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Why does Jamie think we won't see this for what it is, a power play move? Is he that diluted? Well, if you look at the headlines, I think there's a lot of people looking into this closer, but if you look at the headlines are James Spears files to terminate the conservatorship, and I think that that's what he's concerned with. He spent $500,000 on Media Matters, I think to protect his reputation. So, of course he does. Avaloma says, feels like extortion or bribery. If Britney agrees to the final accountings and pays Vivian, James Spears will set her free. James Spears would then have the court's seal of approval to protect him from investigative findings. It feels that way, and it feels like a way for him to say, see, we're going to terminate the conservatorship. We're fighting over these accountings, and if you just approve the accountings, then we're done. And also, not just if you approve the accountings, but if you maybe stop looking into me. Rosengart alluded to immunity or a deal in his last motion that I covered last week. It's up on the channel on the Britney Spears playlist. And I think there is probably a lot going on behind the scenes that we just aren't aware of, and that this power move by James and his attorneys, getting this out to the media, getting the narrative changed to like, oh, Britney's dad, like what I saw, and this is no shade to anyone who looked at these headlines, because you should be able to trust what the headlines say. People looked at the headlines and were like, oh my God, thank God. It's done. Is it done? Is Britney free? Are we over? I saw people just going, yeah, Britney's free. It's done. He filed a petition to terminate the conservatorship. The court still has to grant it, and there are still conditions. The conditions are that the money gets done. Yes, there have to be final accountings before anything can end, which is why I think Rosengart was trying to remove him and then deal with the finances so somebody else is doing them, not James Spears. If this is granted, then James Spears is the one in charge of wrapping up all of the finances. Is that what anyone wants? No. No, I mean, James, I don't want that. I want a third party looking at these finances before everything's just like, we're done. And it's such a mess because it really does put Rosengart in a position where he might have to object, because that would be what's in the best interest of Britney. And imagine being in that position and imagine what the media will say if Britney's attorney objects. Steve says, why do I think her trial on the 29th will be closed? I don't think the hearing on the 29th will be closed, but I don't think it's going to be live streamed. I know that with those motions, they have petitioned for it to be live streamed. I think media outlets are going to have to line up and hope they get a spot in court to report, and we'll see. I don't think it's going to be streamed. Nick says they sent this to her minor children. Her children are, I think, on the notice list always, because they are kept in the loop through, because they don't send it to KFED, they send it to the kids. So they are on the notice list. And I don't have, here, let me pull this back up. Tech, can we just scroll to the notice list with all the addresses on it? And we can go through who it was sent to, because those should all be through lawyers. So let me pop up. We just need to go. Yep, that way. Let's see. So it was sent to Britney and her, well, through her lawyer, Britney's lawyer. And then it was sent to Lynn Spears's various attorneys. It was sent to Jody Montgomery and the Jody Montgomery's attorneys. It was sent to her brother, her sister, her children, which will go through their dad, and to his bond company, which is very interesting because when the final accountings are done, thank you, Tech. When the final accountings are done, his bond will be released. His bond is I think in the $40 million range. So if the final accountings aren't jiving, like a final look through the entire estate's not jiving, then he's on the hook for that bond money to kind of make up the difference, which is why I want a third party doing that, not him. So yes, Nick, it can be normal, because everyone has notice, but that would go notice to them through their father. Rose asks, why can he tie the accounting to him being a conservator? That surely isn't for him to make up conditions. Oh, it's sure not for him to make up conditions. That hasn't stopped him yet. Every single motion, as we're gonna shift. We're very fluffy and like the green chair. It's like, hey y'all, this isn't it, he thinks it's for him to make conditions, and he keeps predicating things on the accountings getting done. Like, when the money's done, I'll go. When the money's done, I'll go. When the money's done, I'll go. And Britney's attorney's like, you need to get. We'll deal with the money. You can be gone and the money can be dealt with. So I think we'll see some responses from Britney's attorney, and I also think Britney's attorney's probably pissed. Danielle, this hotel Wi-Fi is absolutely working full-time right now, and hopefully the stream looks okay. Thank you so much to the mods for grabbing those super chats that I missed. I appreciate it. And again, I appreciate the support. Captain Lee the Barmy said, Judge Penny is sus AF. Quote, Dad Spears is so blatantly corrupt because he's had free reign without questions. Well, part of that is on Britney's lawyers too, because they're supposed to question him as well. It's not just on her. There's a lot of people that have kind of dropped the ball on this, I think. And I think that when it comes to Dad Spears, he just is the gift that keeps on giving. You can see why the relationship is difficult, right? Like, we understand better now why the relationship is different. Dora said, thank you, Emily, for doing this live on your vacation. You're welcome. I wanted to talk about it too. Amy said, tattoo fund going this afternoon. Mystic Dina said, Emerald City Music. Mystic, Deanna, Emerald City Music, thank you for the super sticker. Brandeis, you look gorgeous. Well, thank you. We were walking around today. I got to go to my favorite place. Not for a new purchase, but for something I had that got damaged and needed to be repaired. And there aren't very many of them left. And there happened to be one in Vegas. So I was able to replace something. So it kind of felt like getting to shop for the same thing twice without spending any more money. And sometimes the event of shopping is just enough. But I'm so glad they had it in Vegas, as I wasn't able to get it in Nashville to replace. Alyssa said, you're keeping me company as I do a medical procedure. Thanks. You're welcome. I hope it goes well. Angel Pie said, would ending the conservatorship mean the courts wouldn't have jurisdiction to look into his previous conduct? Yes, this court would no longer have jurisdiction if jurisdiction matters. It's one of the first things they teach you in law school. Jurisdiction matters. The court can't just do things unless they have a reason to do things to you. The courts can't just be like, we're going to do things. So if this conservatorship no longer is in place, that can be an issue. Now, if things are still winding up, then the court will still have jurisdiction. It doesn't mean that they can't sue James Spears in another court, in another form, and start all over again. I don't know if that's the route they're going to choose. I don't know if that's the best route for Britney. That's definitely not the least expensive route. It would make it clear that James is paying for his own legal fees. This motion, I think, will bolster Rosengart's argument that James should be paying his own legal fees for all of the last groups of motions. A tired millennial question, put this earlier, might have gotten missed. A lot does. There's over 4,500 of y'all in here, so I do miss things, and I'm on an iPad. So yes, but thank you guys for being here. Oh, do the YouTube-y things. I didn't even say that. Do the likey, subscribe-y things. Please, thank you. Looks like this is to be heard in 2022. If so, and Dad Spears gets yeeted this month, is that enough time to investigate? No. And the court has a certain briefing date where they will just put, like, any new motions will go on a certain date. But when Rosengart filed the motion for suspension of James, it was set for the end of December because that was the court's general amount of time. And the court moved that up to September 29th. I imagine the court will move this up to September 29th as well. We will see, or at least to have an initial conversation about it, because it's the elephant in the room, right? You can't talk about suspending James Spears without also talking about this. It doesn't even make sense. Elisa, Nightbot is totally feisty. Nightbot works hard, so I don't have to. And so the mods don't have to just be like, stop it with the caps. It makes it hard for Emily. So Nightbot is totally feisty. Question, does Jamie think, oh, we got to that one. I'm well behind on questions, so I'm glad that now I know where I'm at. Lil Blossom Fairy says, does this mean if the conservatorship ends, she won't be able to investigate his financial dealings in the past? No, it doesn't. It means she will have to do it through another court. So they could investigate once they have access to her financials, investigate them, do forensic accountings, because they don't need to subpoena anything, right? They're her records. So they can then sue him in another court, or they can, if they wanted to, forward it for criminal prosecution if they believe there's criminal behavior. But if I am the lawyer here, I'm looking at money, time, frustration, but also if I don't trust the judge 100%, maybe I'm just like, fuck it, end it. We're taking it to another court. The reason I wouldn't say that's his first goal is because if that was his first goal, he would have filed it first and he wouldn't have been trying to yeet Dad Spears. So that choice, because that's a choice, right? When Rosengart comes on, the choice is, do we terminate the conservatorship or do we try to get rid of her dad and then work from there? And because he chose to not get rid of her dad immediately, it leads me to believe that was a strategic choice. I don't think that was just a choice taken lightly. I think that would have been are you guys watching What If? I love What If. But it feels like, what if we do this? What if we do this? What if we do that? And that's a lot of what legal is. If I go this way, then how does that storyline play out? If I go this way, how does that play out? And they would have had those conversations and they made a choice for a reason. I don't have any reason not to trust their reasoning. And I'm sure there is a lot of thought and reasoning behind it. So, yeah. Question, if the conservatorship gets terminated, what gets put into place to rehabilitate Britney back to adulthood and managing such a complicated life and financial? I feel like she's been institutionalized. I mean, she has been. She has been overprotected. I can't help myself. God, I apologize for that one. No, I don't. I stand by it. I stand by it. I would not take that back. She would be hiring financial professionals to deal with her financial business manager, financial people to manage that part of the estate. With regard to the other stuff, that would be between her and her lawyer and how they decide. But yes, she has been very protected, but that is not uncommon of a celebrity of her status, and that is not just particular to her. So, Susie Q, good to see you. Love, thank you for the stream. You're welcome. Love from an OG. Thank you so much. I know there's over 4,500 of you. And somebody tell me how many likes we have so people can do the YouTube things. Julian says, if the conservatorship is ended, does this stop? We talked about that. I think Britt has never formally asked the court to terminate. Do you think Rosengart will change his strategy? I don't think, just law in general, not just this, but law in general, letting the other side dictate your strategy is a losing strategy. You have to go in with your strategy and you have to make adjustments, but you have to say, this is the end game, and actually play through the end game. Yes, you make tweaks, but you do not allow yourself to be blown in different directions by the opposing side, because you get off course real fucking quick. So you have to have a focus on the goal. And with most of my cases, I always started at the end and worked backwards. And I'm sure they've done this here. I mean, Rosengart was a former prosecutor. I don't know many prosecutors that didn't address their cases that way. It's like, what do I have now? What is the end goal? And how do we work it back from there? And that's how I do most things. I work back. What are we trying to do? And work it back. It's a little harder with YouTube. It's like, what are we trying to do? I don't know. We're trying to embrace facts, not fuckery, and tell the people the things so we understand what's happening, so we can understand the laws and make change where we need to, and then have good conversations. So that. Heather the lawyer on TikTok, I like Heather the lawyer on TikTok, said that the California Supreme Court said the public Zoom hearings need to stay open in California courts. Did you hear about this? It's in the recent filing. Hold on, let me just pull up that filing. I'm gonna just embrace my inner Adam McIntyre. I'm gonna pull it up from the phone. I haven't read through the entirety of the attachments, but let's see if I can pull it up from here and send it to tech and then get it pulled up and I'll show you. So let's see. We're working hard with the technology. That sometimes I'm like, wait, where is it? Because I don't always know where like files go on my phone and stuff because I don't ever do that. So let's preview this. I haven't even saved this to my drive yet, so that's not going to work. All right, quick look. I'm going to just tell you what it says. So in this request and this was filed by Christopher Melcher, who I know does commentary on YouTube as well. He's filing it on behalf of USA Today, and they attached this exhibit that looks like it's from Twitter. So y'all can probably go to Twitter. And it's from August 9th, 2021 at 8:45 a.m. at LA Superior Court is the Twitter account. The court strongly urges attorneys to appear remotely for hearings. The public is strongly encouraged to schedule an appointment for clerk's office services and access online and courthouse call center options for self-help and other needs. So that's the first one from the LA Superior Court and their Twitter account. There is a press release from the Superior Court of California from August 13th about the new guidelines as the pandemic does different things in different places, talking about those guidelines. There is a new administrative order from August 26th regarding guidelines. There is a California legislative attachment from February. There is a Senate committee hearing attached, but I do not see anything from the Supreme Court, so I will go look at what Heather is talking about. I quite like Heather's coverage, and I've seen some things. I have not seen everything because I've been, all traveled. So, and So this, Angie, thank you. I mean, the hotel, I love this hotel. I love this hotel in general. Oh, my water bottle's hiding back there. Don't look. Don't look, as I say, as you can see it. Don't look. It's a sample. It's not in the store yet. Um, Question, can Britney be put back into another situation like this by her father again? It's hard to tell the future. I am not capable of doing that. Oh gosh, I think there's so many more eyes on it now. It would be really hard to push this away into silence. But I also feel like that's a little bit of what James Spears' goal is to push this back into silence and to push this back into the dark and to have most people just read the newspaper and go, oh, it's over, cool, and then move on, because we do move on as a society. We move pretty quickly. So there are some, us and those within the Free Britney movement that are like, no, I'm laser focused. I'm not taking my eyes off of this. But most that are casually watching this going, oh, that's horrible what's happening to Britney, are also not, once they see the headlines that the petition's been filed, they're like, oh, great. And so following through on that weeks and weeks later, they're not going to be like, I wonder if that ever actually got granted by the court. I think a lot of people don't know it needs to be granted by the court. It's like, oh, James Spears is the conservator of the estate, so he can just say, let's end it, and then it's done. And I think there's a misperception that this filing means everything's done. This is a long way from there. A very long way from there. So, question, do you think Jamie, I think you mean Jamie, I'm guessing Jamie Lynn and dad were abusing her money and are fearing for their lifestyle if they lose control of her money? Hebham, welcome. I'm glad you're new here. Don't ever apologize for asking questions. Thank you so much. I don't know. It feels like fear to me. But I don't know what the fear is of, because I don't know what they're thinking. But it feels like a lot of smoke and mirrors is just going up. So anyway, let's see. Did I get this one? No. Question, can Rosengart just keep attacking the accountings to keep the conservatorship until his investigation is done? He could. Yeah, he could. I think their goal, that was awkward. I should have just finished my sentence and then taken a drink. But it's vacation mode. I think the goal is to get rid of Dad Spears. I think it's been made very clear in all of the motions from Rosengart that that's the goal. They have said that the thing to do, James, if you want to do what's best for your daughter, leave and allow us to just allow us to independently deal with this. It doesn't help them fight out the accountings if Dad Spears is in charge of it, because we've seen how much he's spent on lawyers. So them fighting the accountings is Britney financially fighting against herself. Every time she fights the accountings, her dad spends a ton of money to fight back with her. So having a third party in might be less expensive for Britney and just less time consuming for everyone all the way around. So, Hale says, welcome to Vegas and to my home. Hope you enjoy the city. I love Vegas. If you like boba, please check out Brew Tea Bar. Absolute favorite. Thank you. We will see. Molly Moo said, question, are you getting a new tattoo while in Vegas? Yes, I am. It's one of the reasons I am in Vegas, because you guys know how much I love my tattoo artist here in Vegas at Iron Horse Tattoo. So that will be happening. And I will share that with you guys later. So you are welcome. Let's see. Question, if the conservatorship is terminated, why can't they file to the same court for Dad's financial investigation? It would be a new case, right? Yes, it would have to be a new case. I don't think that kind of investigation would be under the jurisdiction of the probate court. I think that would just have to go into a general civil court, and the general civil courts are so backed up, they probably wouldn't have a first hearing until mid to late 2022. So I think all of those things are, A, Rosengart would be well aware of the circumstances going on in the courts there. B, he would have looked into the best way to accomplish this and have decided the best way. And C, could they take the federal court? I don't know. I have not thought about that deeply, though I keep meaning to, but I have not. So, Melissa D., thank you so much. Yeah, we have 4,500 people live. We can definitely have less than that. So I appreciate y'all. What else was I going to say on that? So I think it would be time consuming and difficult. And I don't think it's the position. If they wanted to really just investigate him and file in a civil court, I think they probably would have started there. Does that make sense? Um, and they haven't. So, I mean, Rosengart hasn't told us um, what his plan is, but we're seeing it and kind of deriving it from these court filings. Like, what is the plan? And what I've seen, and this is something I speculated at from the beginning too, because if I was attacking this is how I would attack the problem. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? You get rid of James, you figure out what the fuck's going on with the money, you reduce the restrictions on the personal conservatorship, which we're seeing happen, and you make Britney feel safe and stable with the people that are around her. And then you go from there. That's the way I would attack it. So I think that Rosengart, it looked like, was doing that. Get somebody else looking at the money first. Um, Thank you. I have on eyeliner and mascara and lip gloss, and this is just, skin. And it's dehydrated skin because I was flying and I did something I don't normally do. I had some drinks while I was flying, which I normally don't do. It dehydrates you so much, but it was also fun. It was also fun. Question: do you think Des Spears wants Britney to fail without the conservatorship to make him look like he was doing a good job? The thought has absolutely crossed my mind. These are my monkeys. Is it also your circus? I'm guessing by the circus tent it probably is. And I love the play there. The thought has crossed my mind because I'm cynical. So yeah, I worry. I worry that this is like, fine, fail without me, and then everyone can just pat me on the back. I worry that he is so focused on him that that's absolutely a consideration. I just, um, so Nadine, I think so too. I feel like this is a little bit of self-preservation, but this is a whole lot of fighting back. Question: K-Fed said he would contest ending the conservatorship. Can he? Yes, he can. And he would have some insight to that as the kid's father. But yes, he can be heard on that. He has standing to be heard with regard to their family law orders. Absolutely, he can. Which, if Rosengart reached out to K-Fed and was like, hey, can you do this without throwing her under the bus? It might be a way to not have Rosengart have to object, but Rosengart can agree with him. There's a lot of room to play chess here, and all the lawyers are tired, I'm sure. So, Irish Badass, I will look for that on Twitter. I am just talking Britney stuff today, so the mods knew I was just talking Britney stuff today. And I really do try to keep the questions on topic when I'm talking about just one topic, so I appreciate that. I think I got all of them. All right. Question: can you please explain the whole bond situation? I can try. Like any other bond, the bond with regard to the conservatorship of the estate is so that if he does something wonky or damages the estate or does something like straight up problematic, illegal, takes the money and runs, anything like that, the bond steps in and says, okay, we've bonded the estate. So if you fuck something up, this money goes back into the estate. So it is just like a surety bond in construction or something like that. I hope that explained it well. But yeah, like a construction bond or another kind of bond. POV, you're working in the Dave's office with Emily, real passion. Mikey, thank you. I do get fired up. Did you see the TMZ article where a source said Jamie thinks the opposite of his petition? Somebody shared a TMZ article on Twitter where it was like Jamie wants to end it and be like, fine, let her hang out to dry. I don't know. I mean, TMZ often seems to have the inside track when it comes to the James Spears stuff, but I always grain of salt. I don't know what he's thinking, and he's slinging a lot of mud in this. And I just don't like it. So If Dad Spears keeps spending Britney's like this, we'll be broke or close to. I mean, the amount of legal spending is why they're fighting, but the more they fight, the more it costs. And that's the thing that's so hard with legal. Like, the more you fight, the more expensive it is. Who was I talking about the Matt Haas motion with? I think Roberto Blake and I were talking about it on Clubhouse with regard to Ethan Klein, H3H3, fighting Matt Haas over fair use. Like, that's, at least $150,000 to fight to prove that you're right on a fair use lawsuit when somebody comes after you. And a lot of people are like, it's not worth the cost. Like, it's just, I know I could, but it's not worth the money. I could fight, but I will lay down my sword. I am just done. And you see that in litigation. It is a strategic choice of how much you are willing to put behind to have a judge say, yeah, you're right. And some people choose to opt out. But in this, everybody has chosen to fight recently. And it costs Britney because every time she fights herself. So I'm really hoping that she will get a third party looking at the finances. Like, that's my biggest hope. So that is absolutely my biggest hope. Bence, hi, Emily. So happy to see you. Will you leave this up? Yes, I try to leave absolutely everything up. If it's not up, it's not by my choice. I intend to leave it up. So, and with all things. Would they be able to do an injunction to prevent the bond from being terminated? The bond can't be terminated until the final accountings are done. So it's a premature question. So we're not quite there yet at all. Question: if Dad Spears steps down, is the bond still in place? Is there a time scale in which the financial irregularities need to get found? Nikki, I'm not quite sure, but I will ask around. I'm not quite sure how long they have. I can't imagine the bond, would be forfeited until the final accountings are approved, but that can happen even if he's not in charge of doing it. So I just don't know what the time frame is on that. So, question: in Jamie's most recent document, does he at all actually request the conservatorship to end? I saw stuff like grounds for establishment of the He does. He says, we'll just pull it up real quick again, and then I'm going to take the money and run. And then what time is it? Yes, and then I've got to go. Ooh, I've got to go soon. I have to go very soon. What time is it? I have to go very soon. Because I have appointments. So if we could just scroll to the next page below this, Tech, that would be super helpful. Thank you. You're the best. He does say terminate the conservatorship here. So he's asking for the legal grounds of determining that the conservatorship's not required or that the establishment no longer exists. So those are kind of the grounds on which to terminate it. But on item 3 and item 6, it does say terminate the conservatorship. So it is in there. So thank you. I appreciate that. And hopefully that made it clear. Y'all, I have an appointment that I have to get to. We have been almost an hour. I told the mods this was a quick ride. Mods, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Law nerds, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I know that you guys are invested in this case. I am too. I will continue sharing it on social. If you are in the Law Nerd community at lawnerdsunite.com, you will see that over there too. When I share the members only exclusive podcast, I thought there's 2 episodes of that now with more incoming. That is my fastest place to kind of sit down and share my thoughts and respond. And that is part of the benefit of being in that community at lawnerdsunite.com. There were a lot of y'all in there, and I love it because it just gives us a place. Oh my God. 925. I'll have to think of what we should do to celebrate 1,000 in there. Maybe I'll do Ask Me Anything episode of I Have Thoughts for y'all. But yeah, we'll do something special when we hit 1,000 in the Law Nerd Unite community over on Patreon. What else? There is a new episode of the podcast out today. That video will be up a little bit later today, going over, now dated Britney stuff, but also going over Disney's kind of bitch-ass answer to Scarlett Johansson's lawsuit. Disney was like, the mouse has teeth. What else is happening? And then if anything else pops off, I will be on, where will I be? Instagram at the Emily D. Baker, Twitter at the Emily D. Baker, and over on Patreon first, because I don't know when I will have time to stream again, and I don't know if my next hotel will have Wi-Fi like this. So thank you all so much. I appreciate you for being here. I have got to run. Thank you. Thank you. And I will talk to you soon. All right, we're going. Thank you for being all honored. Be well. Take care.
Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, lawnerdsunite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.